Good morning to everyone. Thank you for coming to Ifri today and to those of you online for signing in. I wish you a very warm welcome to the annual conference of the Center for Asian Studies. My name is Marc. I'm the Executive Director of Ifri, and it's my honor to welcome our distinguished speakers for an engaging discussion on strategic autonomy as it is understood by a number of key partners in Asia. I was in South Africa last week ahead of the G20 summit for a gathering of leading international think tanks, and there was also a panel on strategic autonomy. This concept seems to be very trendy at the moment in different parts of the world, in a period of growing technological tension, technological competition, and trade war between the US and China. Thank you all for joining us today and for your active participation throughout the day. I hope you will all agree that our Center for Asian Studies has put together a great program for us. Before I hand the floor over to Her Excellency Clémentine Hao and to Ambassador Pierre Vimont, I would like to add a few thoughts on the topic of strategic autonomy and to highlight the diversity of our approach to analyzing it here at Ifri. Indeed, this is a concept that has long structured the policy debate in France and is becoming increasingly central to Europe's awakening as a geopolitical actor. The concept of strategic autonomy was already used in France in the 1990s. For instance, it was mentioned several times in the 1994 White Paper on Defense. In this document, the concept of strategic autonomy was linked to the notion of independence, of course, but also to nuclear deterrence and to independent intelligence capabilities. The objective was to avoid being over-reliant on the Atlantic Alliance to guarantee the security of the country and of the continent. It was already underscored in the 1994 White Paper that the concept of strategic autonomy had to be understood, quote, in the framework of a growing assertion of the European project in the realm of defense, unquote. In other words, the concept of strategic autonomy already had a European dimension in 1994. At the European Union level, the 2016 EU Global Strategy defined strategic autonomy as a goal. This document noted, for instance, that, quote, a competitive defense industry is essential for Europe's strategic autonomy and for a credible CSDP, unquote. As a matter of fact, strategic autonomy was already an important concept before the first mandate of Donald Trump. It became even more widespread after Trump's election. In his 2017 Sorbonne speech, Emmanuel Macron used the expression European sovereignty several times and said that Europe needed to develop autonomous defense capabilities in complement to NATO. The same year, France published its Defense and National Security Strategic Review. The term strategic autonomy was used 20 times in this document, and in the foreword, President Macron used the expression European strategic autonomy that stirred some controversy within the EU. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the vulnerabilities related to our dependencies. Hence, the concept of strategic autonomy acquired a much wider dimension beyond defense issues. For instance, reshoring industry was encompassed in this concept. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the hard security dimension of strategic autonomy became again the main focus. Increasingly tense tensions with Washington revealed the scope of the challenge for us here in Europe in achieving a greater degree of strategic autonomy. Meanwhile, economic coercion from China, and in particular the use of export controls on critical raw materials and related technologies that are vital for our digital and energy transitions, have added a sense of urgency to our efforts to become more resilient. As the title of our conference indicates, strategic autonomy is not only a military debate. In an age of deepening economic statecraft and weaponization of interdependencies, our foreign policy choices are increasingly constrained by geoeconomic forces. At Ifri, we strive to cover the field of strategic autonomy from all angles, That is to say security and defense, but also energy, technology, and economics and finance, but also from a comparative standpoint, as we are doing here today with our partners in Asia. Indeed, in the face of deepening strategic competition between Washington and Beijing and an increasingly fragmented world at large, we in Europe are not the only ones to consider the need for greater strategic autonomy. There are valuable lessons to be learned from our partners in how they approach similar challenges, and important synergies to harness that should bring us together in our endeavors. In our first panel, we'll hear from distinguished experts and practitioners from key partners of Europe and France, in Japan, South Korea, India, and of course, Taiwan. Before we delve into questions of supply chain resilience and the reconfiguration of regional and global trade this afternoon. Today's conference is public, it's recorded, and it will be made available on our website once we've finished. Now, before I yield the floor to our guests and to my colleagues, I would like to give a few words of thanks. Indeed, putting together a conference like this is always a team effort, so please allow me to recognize those who've made it possible. First of all, to our many donors and sponsors at Ifri for their support over the years, and in particular for this event to the Taipei representative office in France and its representative, Her Excellency Clémentine Hao, thank you, who you will hear from in a moment. Thank you again on Ifri's side. I would like to acknowledge the work done by my colleagues at the Center for Asian Studies, especially John Seaman, who pulled together and coordinated this event, but also Céline Pajon, Sylvia Malinbaume, Alice Juigné, and of course, Marc Julien, director of the center, who will be chairing our morning discussion. Thank you all for coming, distinguished speakers and guests. I now hand the floor to Her Excellency Clémentine Hao for some introductory remarks before turning the floor to Ambassador Pierre Vimont for his keynote speech.
Mr. Hecker, Executive Director of Ifri, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, bonjour à toutes et à tous. It's my great honor to be here to attend this conference. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Ifri for organizing this meaningful discussion, providing us with the opportunity to exchange the ideas and reflect on the new challenges to global security. The current international situation highlights that security in Europe and in Indo-Pacific region is closely connected. The war in Ukraine has not only reshaped Europe's strategic landscape, but also impacted global supply chains, energy stability, and cybersecurity. At the same time, the Indo-Pacific region faces the growing influence of the authoritarian powers, especially coordinated action by Russia and China in military and strategic domains are creating new implications for global and regional security. Europe is confronting increasingly complex hybrid threats, including drone intrusions affecting nearly 11 European countries, the cutting of undersea cables by so-called shuttle fleets, cyber attacks on airports, and attempts by foreign actors to influence national elections through disinformation and social media. While these threats may be new challenges for many European countries, there's a new experience. But for Taiwan, not new to us. Such hybrid threats are part of our daily life. Every day, Taiwan experiences nearly 2.4 million cyber attacks, and every year, around 2.1 million disinformation attempts targeting our democratic society. Europe and the Indo-Pacific region are facing the same challenge. As a democracy that has learned to respond effectively to multidimensional coercion, Taiwan can share its valuable experience and serve as a secure, reliable, and resilient democratic partner. We are ready to share this experience with European countries to strengthen security dialogue and to work together to address these common challenges. In addition to security concerns, geoeconomic competition is rising, making supply chain resilience a key priority. Taiwan's expertise in semiconductors and critical technologies can help European countries build more secure and resilient supply chains. So, strengthening policy dialogue and strategic cooperation will enable Europe and the Indo-Pacific region to better address geoeconomic challenges and safeguard regional and global stability. Taiwan aims to be a reliable partner for Europe. We hope to deepen cooperation in cybersecurity, countering disinformation, and protecting critical infrastructure, while upholding our shared values of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Finally, I would like to thank Ifri once again for inviting us and organizing today's conference. I hope our discussion for today will open new opportunities for cooperation and contribute to peace and security in both the Indo-Pacific region and Europe. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.